Started then. Good evening, everybody who has decided to join us and or watch us on the on our YouTube channel. My name is Craig Peterman. I'm a volunteer at BadgerBots. Um, and on my screen, you've got to my left Brian Farrell, the head judge advisor, one of the two head judge advisors for the state. And then on the right is Jay Church, one of our head referees. Um, and so this evening we'll focus on the challenge program. And then we'll take any questions, anything that any of the coaches have, want to discuss amongst themselves. So, as you probably heard as you came into the room, this call is being recorded, and Jay will put it up on our YouTube channel within a day or two. So we do get a lot of views, anywhere from 60 to 80. So even though the participation at the current meeting may not be large in numbers, there will be a lot of people watching after it gets posted. All right. So let's jump right in. Administratively speaking, everybody should know that there are 5 days left for the registration for a regional tournament in the state of Wisconsin. The newsletter went out today. There's both a link to instructions, and then there's also a link to where you actually register. A couple items of note that have come up recently. Please only register once per team. A couple times we've had multiple entries for the same team. Some people are saying they're not getting a confirmation email back. We've tested this many times and it always seems to work. So I guess, please check your spam folder or junk mail first. If you don't get a confirmation, please email fllteams@badgerbots.org and we will let you know if your registration actually came through. But before you do that, please just check the normal places where junk mail may be filtered out. All right, so also make sure that you have the correct team number. It seems like we're doing okay in that regard with regards to registrations. If you have not registered at firstinspires.org yet, you still can register for the regional in Wisconsin. Just use a fictitious, but obviously fictitious team number. Actually, I think you can even use letters if you want, A, B, C, D, E. That way we will know that it's not a real number, and then we can reference it once you do get registered at firstinspires.org. So remember, it is a separate process, but ultimately that team number links all that information together. So, assuming the window does close on Friday, going to take the weekend and the week to match up all the assignments to the tournaments. We need to make sure that if a tournament director tells me the capacity is 24, well, that's all they're going to get. So then we have to start moving through the process of trying to figure out who's in what. So it's, not hugely complicated, but nonetheless, there are always certain issues that seem to come up. So we will deal with those. And then, assuming we solve that particular riddle completely, the assignment emails will go out on Friday, October 4th, I believe it is. I think in another session, I might have said October 6th, but whatever that Friday is, I hope to get the assignment emails out. All right. If you do not register during the window, it's okay. You still have every opportunity to participate in a regional. The difference, though, is you will not really get a choice of preferences other than from what is left from the available capacity. So it happened last year. We had about, 10 to 12 teams that did not register during the window. We found them a regional that was to their liking, but I had to narrow it down based on what was available. So that's the risk of not registering during the window. Obviously, it makes our job from a planning perspective a lot easier if we have a good number going into the season. When teams start straggling and signing up later, and then I got to let the tournament directors know, it creates additional work for them, which obviously we'd all like to avoid. So if you want to help us make our job easier, do your best to get signed up during the window. All right. I believe I got my high points across on the registration process. Are there any questions from the coaches with regards to that particular process? All right, going once, twice, three times. All right, so last item then is with the assignment email, again, hope to get that out on, expect to get that out on August 4th. There will be a link to the payment processing. Those of you that are paying with credit card, identified with the registration, you can just go to the link and pay. Similar process. Pop in the team names, excuse me, team numbers, and then if you have 5 teams, you can pay for all 5 at once. Last year I set the capacity at 10. This year I think I got to set the capacity at 20 at one time. So either way, however many it takes, you are able to do that. Those of you that went through the registration and asked for an invoice, I will get invoices out over the weekend. So then if you need to submit those to your schools, hopefully you will have plenty of time to get that done before your actual regional. So if you sign up multiple teams, 5 or 6, all asking for an invoice, I will put all 5 teams on the same invoice, unless you send it back to me and say, I need it individually, in which case I'll grumble and probably send you individual invoices. All right, just trying to keep this process as simple for all of us as possible, especially for those of you that have to deal with school districts. All right. Once again, any
One
other questions?
slight clarification. I think you said August 4th. You meant October 4th.
October 4th.
Okay.
Thank you. Whatever that Friday is.
Yeah,
First Friday.
just making sure because I don't know when people will watch this video, and I didn't want them to think that they had passed
Yep.
a date.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to bring up a subject that I think we addressed it a little bit last Zoom meeting. There's been a couple conversations on Slack. And so I'm going to bring it up again, which is related to the innovative project. And basically the scenario is my kids have decided on this particular project, we want to save the oceans from environmental catastrophe. And the question is that topic on topic? And I'm going to then ask that question now of our head judge advisor, Brian Farrell, to please address that particular issue.
Sure. Let me share. Okay. So this is from the challenge overview. It's in a couple other places as well, but really talking about what is the prompt. Okay, so you think about the prompt. The prompt is this season, your challenge is to dive into a problem faced by people who explore the oceans. There's kind of another hint here of identify and research a problem related to exploring the oceans. So the question is, how do you relate that? Okay, if you can find a way to relate it, okay, on the surface, that's more of an environmental issue than a exploration issue. So you need to be able to convince the judges why that would be an exploration, a problem faced by people who explore the oceans. Any questions? So that's the litmus test you should be doing for all of your innovation projects.
All right. So if I can then ask the question of the coaches that are on this call, what is your suggestion if your kids go down a path that doesn't necessarily make that connection?
I
Any,
made them bounce it against the problem statement, and if it didn't meet the problem statement of people exploring oceans, I said that one comes off the list because it doesn't meet the intent, and they got it real quick. So now we have a project where it's okay. For the pollution thing, you can tie it to people exploring oceans, but the kids have to be able to explain that to the judges, and I think it's going to be, if they can't get there easily or they're railing against it, it's almost better to pick a different topic. Is my opinion.
We've
and I
used
was
a
just using environmental issues as an example. There, I'm getting questions about other ocean-related issues that may or may not be on topic with this particular directive. So that was just an example. But any other coaches with some wisdom they would like to share?
We've used a similar process in the past where the kids had their criteria, and one of them was, does this problem fit the challenge? So as they checked off all their ideas, that was one that would have automatically kicked out that idea unless they could figure out a way to make it fit. So we just hit that one really early on and made sure that they were hitting what they needed to with it.
Yeah, I faced that same kind of issue with my teams because a lot of the kids wanted to do things about lakes, and I said, well, lakes aren't oceans, still water, but it's not the same, and we had to discuss that what's the difference. And we're talking about exploration, not just the word explore is key here.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Well, if not, Brian, anything else that you'd like to cover from the judging perspective?
No, I mean, again, I like this little hint down here they have to think about reviewing the rubrics, the judging process. You kind of look at what we're looking for when we do the interviews.
So Ryan, I still have more questions about the 8 minutes at the end. So should the kids be expecting to have any time to cover more grounds independent of questions during that period of time? Or should they prepare more to answer more questions and tie anything they've missed back into those questions? There's two different ways to go about this, and I'm just trying to prepare them for what to expect during that 8 minutes.
Yeah. So what Jen's referring to is the judging session flowchart. And down towards the end of that is the sharing feedback, where there's this up to 8 minutes. And the guidance we have is teams may choose to share final thoughts with judges. Judges may ask clarifying questions, then provide feedback. So I think it's okay for them to have something short if they have it, but it's not a time for them to monopolize the conversation. That they should make sure the judges, if they have questions, can ask them. But it's more, I think, along the lines of, that summaries, maybe a summary, and or filling in some things that maybe they forgot when they were either answering questions or doing their presentations on either the two areas, the innovation project or the robot design.
So I guess as a judge and a coach, should I be expecting to guide my kids to have a 1 minute summary? And should I, as a coach, be or a judge, be asking the kids if they have a 1 minute quit something to share before we go into further questions?
I think that would be fair based on the guidance here. Again, this is a little bit new this year, so we're going to this is kind of where I'm thinking the guidance will go with the judges based on what we know and what we have.
All right. Any other questions about judging rubrics? And I should say, as we've mentioned in previous Zoom meetings, we are going to go through the rubrics during these Zoom meetings starting in October. Not obviously not giving any answers, but giving some guidance on what each section means and what judges may be looking for. There is no guarantee that any score will be awarded if you follow the guidance, but at least it will give you some direction. But that will be in October, which actually isn't too far away, right? All right, so let's move on to the robot game. And Jay, anything from your perspective?
We have nothing new to report. No changes, no updates, no questions. I guess the only thing I can share with you guys is I think that we are talking about doing our hanging with the refs and coaches meeting. We had a suggestion to do it between the two scrimmages. So I think Twist is on the 12th and Waukesha is on the 16th. So that week
26th.
between then, I'm
We're
sorry,
on the 26th.
26th, that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. So if coaches have an opinion on what day during the week that you guys would like to do that, or even, I guess we could do it, I don't know what you're free on a weekend, Brian. So what would work for you guys? Let us know. If not here, let us know on Slack or somehow, and we'll set a time and date for that. So just for people who aren't clear what that is, it's a call just like this, but it's geared towards the kids. So the kids get to interact with us directly, and it will not be recorded since it's the kids. They can be with their team, they can be with a parent. Yeah,
And we'll have at least two
right.
background check people on the call.
Yep. So let us know what days work for you guys. I know that we have our calls on Monday, which would be the 14th. So we probably don't want to double up there. So sometime during that week, let us know what works for you guys. Other than that, we can take questions as well for a robot game.
What do you mean by robot game? You're talking about just the competition in general?
Sure.
Any questions you got?
Anything you want. Any question you have for the robot competition, the judging competition, or for Craig. We're open to anything.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this falls into the category, but first time coach, new team, none of us know anything. We're actually having our first official group meeting this week. So my first question is, how many weeks should we expect it to take for us to be ready for a competition typically?
Let's open that up to the experienced coaches that are on the call.
So my team will go to their first scrimmage 10 weeks after we started. And we'll go to our second scrimmage 12 weeks.
Is there an
Usually-
experienced team or brand new?
Half and half this year.
Okay.
But we meet 3 hours a week, not all at once. So I think it depends on how many hours you guys are working and how much homework you're assigning to make that happen.
Okay.
Even with my littles, I assign them homework weekly to keep them going. They're moving at a much slower pace than my bigs. But because I have two teams.
Okay. That's very helpful. Thank you.
So Scott, it also depends on what your goals are for the season, right? So if you're a brand new coach, brand new team, and no one knows what they're doing, what are your actual goals for the season? I would set something that you think is a reasonably attainable goal and work towards that. And then if you advance into, more postseason opportunities, just see it as a win. I mean, don't set unexpected goals for yourself. Like, yeah, we're going to Worlds this year in our first year, and
I mean, I have no idea what to expect to even
okay.
establish what our goals are. I guess our goals would be to have a robot complete and ready to compete.
Oh, okay.
It just so it works and we've got something to show
Okay.
would be my goal.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
kind of going in with one mission, say, hey, we want to do this mission or these few missions.
Yeah.
And then, don't forget about the innovation project as well. And
Yeah.
preparing for
Yeah.
the judging. That's tends to be a thing that newer teams kind of don't get the balance on to prep for it, because you can spend a whole ton of time on the robot, and the robot's cool, don't get me wrong. But the other stuff does take time.
Okay. I like the
and-
homework idea.
And no coach will ever feel like they're 100% ready for a tournament.
Right.
They could always use 6 more weeks.
Okay.
So-
The day of a tournament, how early in the day or what time, what kind of schedule are we looking at on the day of a tournament? What time do they start? How long do they go?
Brian, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I would tend to say, I think our schedules are typically running starting by 8 in the morning and wrapping up 5-ish. It really depends on the size of the tournament and stuff like that.
Sure.
But through that time, you'll be intermixed with the judging session and robot matches. So there's a practice match and 3 competition matches for the robot plus the judging, and then there'll be some downtime in between each of those to iterate or whatever, decompress, whatever the team needs to do. So it's just kind of a schedule that kind of keeps you busy, but also has some downtime in it.
Okay. How long might we expect the season to last?
That's kind of where I was going. I was just getting ready to ask you, like you sound like you're really, really new. So do you understand the layout of the season, like the
No,
sign-ups?
not at all.
Okay, perfect. You're in a good place then. So let's walk you through, like you just came on the call tonight and don't know anything. Have
Okay.
you registered your team with firstinspires.org?
Yes, we are registered, and the coaches have taken the volunteer security thing, whatever I forgot what it's called. But
Perfect.
yeah, we've
Background
done
check,
that
yep.
much.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Have you ordered the kit? And you have
Yes.
did you get the field kit?
We ordered, the other coach ordered, he couldn't be on the call tonight. He's managing all that stuff, but everything's ordered. And I think some of the stuff is in.
do you have your table built?
We have a table.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good.
We're getting there.
Okay.
So you guys do.
Brought up the webpage as well. It might make sense to navigate that.
So are you guys planning on competing at a tournament in Wisconsin? That's what I heard you say as well,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So have you seen the schedule or the locations of tournaments? And
Yeah, yes, we have. Yes, we
Perfect.
have. And that's one of the reasons I asked about how many weeks. We're looking at Brown County as our first choice, and that's, I forget when that is. That's in
It's,
December.
Early December. So that's actually one of the later ones.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
would work
because,
out.
Madison would have been great because that's where we are. We're right near Madison, but there's no way we'd be ready by November 17.
Okay. So start with storyboarding. I don't know what you guys call it, but start with working yourself backwards from tournament. What do you need to achieve? A lot of teams will, or a lot of coaches will create a board with sticky notes with each week's progress and kind of move along with your checkpoints, right? So start backwards. You want to be ready for tournament at the date. So then what do you need to do the week before that? What do you need to do the week
Yeah.
before that? So
Yeah, the 12 session list that I saw will be great. I think can help us plan in that.
Mhm.
and do you guys plan on meeting a couple times a week or?
Right now, we've got one night a week planned, and everything else beyond that is whatever we can fit in. Because the kids have other stuff going on. It's just fitting everything into a schedule.
Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, it seems like you got the basic overview of the checkpoints as far as your signups, and you got your team numbers and stuff like that situated. So I guess just work out your lesson plan, and some of the coaches on the call here might be able to give you a little bit of better advice on how to go about planning your season a little bit. I haven't coached in quite a few years, so I wouldn't consider myself an expert in that field, but
Scott, I have a lesson plan for the littles. with
Okay.
some strategies that I'm using with the littles. If you'd like to see it, it's in a Google Doc and we are adding to it week by week. So if you're, a good 6 weeks behind us, theoretically, you won't run out of runway. If you want to take
Okay.
a look at it, I don't follow the book,
Okay.
but you take what you like and leave the rest, right?
All right. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Thank you.
Yeah. If you don't want, maybe reach out on Slack and then I'll add you to the doc.
Okay.
That was
Are
the
you on
next
Slack,
question.
Scott?
Are you on Slack, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
good. Okay. So I should be sharing my screen right now.
Yep.
Scott, have you seen this site? Are you familiar with this page that I have up?
Yes, I believe I've seen that.
Okay.
And it's, in a way, it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Oh,
There's a lot
absolutely.
of there's a lot of stuff. And honestly, the main website, it's hard to find anything of use. It seems like more of a sales page than usefulness from that standpoint.
Yep. Let me navigate through there just so you see how to get there. Firstinspires.org, programs, First Lego League, game and season. Okay. And then go challenge season materials.
Yeah.
And here's all that information. Okay. That team meeting guide, that's the document that Jen doesn't use. But look at it, see if it's useful for you. Look at Jen's materials, see if it's useful for you. And just kind of do what's appropriate based, for your group. Engineering notebook, you should have got those with your thing as well. There's an electronic version. The robot game rulebook, you need to be very familiar with that. And there's updates and clarifications when they make updates to it. That's another thing to keep up on. And then here's the rubrics down here. And then that session flow chart I had up is right here. Participation rules isn't a bad thing to look at. And then, Jay, there was one other doc I thought you needed this year from a game perspective.
The setup guide.
Is that farther down?
There's a video. It's up higher. I apologize. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see very well.
Okay, we'll search for it. Setup.
There we go.
There we go. Right here, field setup guide, new. So that tells you how to make sure that things are set up on the field correctly. Otherwise, you can watch the video and keep pausing it. See how that goes. And then just ask lots of questions of these, coming to these calls, ask questions, ask them on Slack.
And Scott, Jen just put her email in the chat for you to see there.
Yep, I saw that.
And I actually absolutely echo what Brian just said. Ask questions. We're here to help. We want to help. We want to make the experience good for you guys, good for the kids, so they'll be coming back season to season. So,
Scott, are you in Wanakee?
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully you got the email I sent out to Dane County coaches. We're gonna have basically open houses on Thursday night at Badger Bots. If your team can come in and wants to meet some of the other teams, that'd be great. If you just wanted to talk as a coach, we'll have resources there as well.
Yeah, I did see that. What I think did I see 5 o'clock on there?
Well, it's up in the air at the moment. Please respond to the email and we'll figure something out.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5 to 7, 6 to 8. I don't know, whatever.
Okay, yeah. Because our team meets on Thursday nights at 6:30.
Oh,
So
perfect.
we can try to fit it we can work around that, or maybe that can be one of our meetings.
We've had some nice growth, and I was actually surprised when I actually ran the numbers. Last year, I think we had like 10 teams in Dane County, and this year we're up to 23.
Wow.
So we can't have 23 teams at Badger Bots, but we certainly can accommodate 3, maybe 4, depending on the size of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely feel free to use us as a resource and a venue, assuming there's space available.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
is this your first call, Scott?
Yes.
Okay. So, you can also look for take a look at when you have all this free time. Take a look at some of the previous YouTube calls that we have here. We've gone
Okay.
through some good information.
Okay.
One of the things I was going to tell you when I ask about the table, so do note that competition tables for Wisconsin FLL are set at a 29-inch height.
Okay.
The build guide has a suggested height of 24 inches. We are aware that our tables are higher than the suggested, but I just want to let you guys know if you're building new tables or acquiring tables and you want them to match competition tables as far as height, we're at 29 inches. We do plan
And
on
that's the
being,
work surface?
yeah, so that's the deck of the table.
Okay.
Yep. And we do plan on being down to the 24 next season. It's been quite impossible to find a 24-inch working surface for our tables, but we think we have something sourced, so. And that build guide, I know you said you have a table. So for anybody watching this that may be new, the build guide, there's a link in the. It's off the page that Brian was showing earlier,
I'll bring it up.
but then there is also a link through the rule book.
There's the team building instructions. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep, table building instructions right there. So right off of the same path. And if you guys missed it, Brian, go back in the video and he walked through how to get there. So. All right, any other questions or anything else we can help you with, Scott? Feel free to ask any questions that you can think of. And I know it feels like you're new and you don't know anything, but that's why we do these calls.
I think I asked this and I don't remember how you answered. How long can we expect the season to go?
Oh,
Then you asked me about goals.
yeah, that's fair. So the season so you register for your first tournament. That's a very fair question. So you know where you plan on, or where you're going to try to attend your first tournament. So whenever that is, December, whatever that date is. So if you advance through there, and Brian and Craig will, I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, 30-ish%
Correct?
advance to the next round of competition. And that round of competition is, I'm doing this off the top of my head, December 14th.
Or 21st?
The first two sectionals are December 14th, and then the Waukesha is the 21st.
Okay. So then you compete there as well. So you'll continue to practice. If you advance past your first regional, you'll continue to practice to the sectional. Same process at sectional. You go through judging, you go through robot games, same tournament. There's nothing that changes as far as that. If you advance through that tournament, I think our when is it? February? January?
The championship is January 19th.
You guys are just letting me go on these dates, aren't you? So, so our championship, which is our last tournament of the season, is I think they said January 19th. So if you guys are lucky enough to make it that far, that's how long you can expect your season to be. I mean, there's postseason stuff after that.
Might as well make a plug for the Robo Rumble.
Yeah, I don't know when they are. They're usually a couple weeks after.
Right. It'll be sometime in assuming they're going to do it, but there is an opportunity in February in Oshkosh called the Robo Rumble. What do they have? They make it available for anybody.
Yeah, I think they're open. So it's it's a tournament that's hosted by local to Oshkosh coach. They're phenomenal. They do a great job. It's an alliance type of competition. They do, I can't remember what the judging stuff is, so sorry about that. But we'll have more information about that when we hear back from Amy, I'm sure. But anyway, your season, there's a couple tournaments. So, you get through this tournament, you go to the next one. You get through this one, you go to the next one. So there's 3 levels of tournaments. So it depends on how far you make it.
The Robo Rumble, even if you just make it to the regional,
Oh, yeah.
you're capable of going to that. You don't have to be one of the advancing teams for that. It's just a fun extra experience.
And where did you say that one was? Start with an O.
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh, okay.
And so don't assume that you guys will not make it through the first round, because it is not unusual for.
Okay.
for teams to get through. So
Okay.
The first year I coached, similar thing, and we actually were runners up to state. So, and we literally wrote the script for the kids in the parking lot the morning before regionals.
So just set yourself some good expectations. I mean, you want to challenge the kids, but you also want them to have fun. We don't want to put too much pressure on them. I mean, by the time you're talking, 30% advance the first time, 30% of that advance to the and so whatever that equals out, 9%, whatever will end up at state. So don't put crazy expectations on your team, but sure they should have goals. I mean, it can happen. We've had rookie teams at state before. It's not a first time.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a decent goal, I would suggest a decent goal would be, hey, let's try to shoot for an award at our first tournament. A rookie award or, something. Let's try to do the best we can. And that would be a nice goal. Some award. There's tons of different ones out there. But if they don't get that either, I mean, it is about the experience as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, most teams do not win awards.
Right.
So, I mean, just based on how the percentages work. So, or advance. And you can win an award and not advance.
Yep.
And you can advance and not get an award.
Yep.
So those are all things that happen. Robot top performance is not guarantee you advancing either.
Right.
Because it's based on the top all around robots.
What sort of awards
teams,
are there?
rather. Well, we have a segue into that. Hold on. So all this stuff's out there. I will bring up the awards list.
Yeah, and I certainly wasn't insinuating that if you don't win an award, you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's a decent goal to shoot for.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
the program isn't about winning awards. It's about growing people in reality. So keep that in mind. And you as a coach set the temperature of that for the kids and the parents as well. So keep that in mind, and how you handle yourselves, and be aware of that. But top award is the Champions Award. Okay. And that's really an overall award. So includes, let's see, I think I have pictures down here. 25% core values, 25% innovation project, 25% robot design, 25% robot game. And that is it's your rank in each of those areas. So if you think about ranking these, is probably the way to think about that is robot game, where you're the 5th place team or the 6th place team, whatever, right? Based on whatever you are, based on your score. It has nothing to. It's based on your score, but it's relative where you are on the list order of teams. So we do the same thing in robot design, innovation project, and core values, and we use the rubric rankings for that to come up with that. And then so that's the Champions Award. And then the core values, innovation project, and robot design awards are also judged awards. And that's, again, based on the rubrics and the interview process. The robot performance is based on how well the team does with the robot score, on the performance of the robot in the best of 3 rounds. Correct. That's still the way it works, Jay? Best of 3?
Yes, best of 3. Yep.
Okay. So those are the main awards. There's also a coach mentor award. We ask the kids to nominate their coaches, and we pick a coach mentor for that. And then there's some optional awards that may or may not be given out at tournaments. With the new one this year, I'll just point it out for those on the call as well, is the peer awards. It's a new one where the teams actually nominate teams. So those are
Great,
the awards that are out there.
Anybody else have questions? And Scott, we will stay with you until your questions get all answered that you'd like to share tonight. I'm just giving everybody else a chance here.
Sure. I believe that's all my questions anyway, but I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, sure.
On mission 10, I believe I already know the answer to this, but I just wanted to clarify. the kids were thinking about having the robot. I know it can't touch the mission equipment, cannot be touching the mission. But can it be extended over the boundary onto the other team's area? Hopefully not affecting them.
Can it be extended over to, okay. So your robot extended over the table, but not blocking the other team.
Theoretically, yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no rule that says your robot can't be overhanging the playing area at the end of the match.
Okay. And that's what I thought, but I just want to clarify.
Anything else? Okay. Well, that's all I have for the night.
Yeah. So we'll next week's Zoom meeting will focus on challenge again. The window of registering for a regional tournament will have closed. So hopefully I will be able to give some commentary of where we are in that process. And basically now it's meeting once or twice a week and moving forward. So if there aren't any further questions or comments, we'll call it an evening. Good night, everybody, and have a great season.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.